Our next speaker is Maria Korsnick, President and CEO of the Nuclear Energy Institute, and also a member of the USEA's Board of Directors. Maria, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you, Will, and special thank you to Vicki and to Sheila and USEA for convening such an important discussion. It's good to see everyone today, although virtually. It's so very important that we gather and have this discussion. It's the beginning of a new administration and of a renewed effort to address the climate crisis. Let's be upfront about the challenges facing the energy industry. We need to dramatically reduce carbon emissions while meeting the world's growing demand for electricity. Nuclear energy will continue to play a key role in addressing these challenges, and that's why it will be at the foundation of our clean energy future. That is in part because the US nuclear fleet is the largest source of carbon-free power anywhere on Earth. It accounts for a fifth of all electricity generated here in the United States and more than half of our total carbon-free production. And beyond our existing fleet, we're now seeing the next generation of carbon-free nuclear technology rapidly coming to market. Spurred by commitments from utilities and private investment and government support, nuclear innovation is happening around the country. We will see the first of the next generation light water reactors come online in Georgia later this year. And there are several demonstration projects that are currently underway. These new innovative designs will make nuclear even more efficient, even more affordable, and even more versatile. We're already seeing real interest in this next generation of nuclear from utilities and policymakers looking to meet clean energy pledges. And we're optimistic about the coming days. We're excited to work with the Biden administration to harness the full potential of nuclear energy. We're ready to act with the urgency that the climate crisis demands. And we also strongly support the United States rejoining the Paris Climate Accord, a crucial step toward a cleaner, more reliable, and more affordable energy system. The new administration has made combating the climate crisis a priority across the government, and Congress has demonstrated bipartisan support for building our clean energy future. Among all carbon-free sources, nuclear energy is uniquely reliable, and that reliability has become even more apparent over the past year. Our industry's workers have kept the lights on at hospitals and in homes during this global pandemic, and they successfully refueled more than 50 reactors. Nuclear energy and the workers who make it possible are absolutely essential, and their commitment is one of the reasons why our nation remains so resilient in the face of unprecedented challenges. Because of them, and because of nuclear energy's attributes, nuclear enjoys well-earned bipartisan support. Policymakers on both sides of the aisle value the carbon-free electricity that nuclear generates and the economic growth that it provides. In 2020, nuclear energy was highlighted in both House and Senate climate reports. Congress significantly increased appropriations to accelerate research and development of new nuclear technologies. And we've seen the introduction of bipartisan legislation that recognizes nuclear's contributions to today's economy and our clean energy future. And we're also encouraged to see the Department of Energy move beyond R&D and announce awards that will enable US companies to build demonstrations of their advanced reactor technologies. And the Department of Defense pressed forward with its own microreactor demonstration program. And the United States finalized new international agreements on nuclear energy cooperation, including with Canada, that will help streamline the licensing of exciting technologies that are in the pipeline and can create opportunities abroad. At the same time, the industry is pressing ahead to ensure that we meet this moment. Innovative companies are investing in advanced nuclear technologies that will offer more affordability and versatility, pairing perfectly with other carbon-free sources like wind and solar. These new technologies will come in many different sizes and designs, allowing us to serve remote communities, help developing countries, and provide solutions that go beyond electricity generation. Our regulator, the NRC, is also updating its processes to allow us to safely bring these technologies to the public as soon as they're ready. Last year, the NRC issued its first ever approval for a new small modular reactor design and accepted the first ever license application for an advanced reactor. This year, we expect significant progress to modernize the regulatory framework even further, because as reactors become more advanced, so too should our regulatory infrastructure. The NRC will need to move forward prudently but efficiently to license these new technologies, as well as better reflect advancements in areas like environmental reviews, siting, emergency preparedness, and security. We would also like to congratulate Christopher Hansen, the new chairman of the NRC, and we look forward to working with him as the Commission becomes a transformed, modern regulator while continuing to ensure the safe operation of the nuclear industry. In 2021, we're going to build on our remarkable progress, because as we look at the ambitious climate goals that have been announced, including President Biden's commitment to 100% clean by 2035, we can only meet them with nuclear as part of the mix. And if we're going to achieve the goal of reducing carbon emissions, we need a new technology neutral framework that puts nuclear energy on an even playing field with wind and solar, hydro, and other carbon-free sources. Some states are already modeling this approach. In 2019, Washington Governor Jay Inslee set his state on a path to 100% clean electricity by 2045. The law intentionally made room for nuclear alongside sources like wind and solar. That approach should be replicated in states across the country. And Congress could also recognize nuclear on the national level by passing the American Nuclear Infrastructure Act, which would help speed up the licensing of advanced nuclear technologies and revitalize our country's nuclear infrastructure. And Congress should pass the Preserving Existing Nuclear Energy Generation Act as well, which would help maintain the nuclear power that we have today through financial credits to plants that recognize their carbon-free production. New nuclear technologies, including advanced fuels, also warrant increased funding for research and development. With continued support, we're proving that the next generation of nuclear is both effective and cost efficient. The next 4 years will be critical for the nuclear industry and our ability to meet our climate goals. But to build a carbon-free energy system, we first need to preserve our existing carbon-free sources. President Biden has announced that combating the climate crisis isn't limited to EPA or the Energy Department or the NRC. He's called for a whole of government effort, and that will include preserving our capacity at the state level. This year, 8 reactors are under threat, 4 in the state of Illinois alone. Those units generate over 60 million megawatt hours of carbon-free electricity. That's about as much electricity as my home state of Maryland uses in a year. And in Illinois, the 4 units under threat, they produce twice as much clean energy as wind and solar in that state. We simply cannot afford to go backwards. A national commitment to building back better must include building the clean energy grid of the future. And that starts with states protecting the largest source of zero emission energy that they've got, and the highly skilled, good paying jobs that nuclear provides. Expanding our nuclear energy capacity is also the right thing for consumers. Studies consistently show that the most consumer-friendly path to a carbon-free future includes nuclear. In fact, a recent study commissioned by Energy Northwest, for example, found that in a complete decarbonization scenario, the Pacific Northwest could save more than $8 billion every year by including nuclear. Clearer national policies that recognize the value of nuclear will also make it easier for states to make the right call. In fact, 2 weeks ago, Secretary Kerry, President Biden's new climate envoy, spoke at an event put together by the Edison Electric Institute, thanks to the work of Tom Kuhn, who spoke earlier today. Secretary Kerry spoke about his priorities for clean energy and highlighted the importance of nuclear energy, not only to serve our interests at home, but also abroad. A recent study estimated that U.S. export revenues from nuclear could total $1.3 to $1.9 trillion through 2050. That would support hundreds of thousands of American jobs while helping to achieve the Biden administration's priorities of reducing carbon emissions worldwide, strengthening our national security, and leading in the global economy. We know that nuclear energy is key, but when it comes to the climate crisis, the science is clear. We can't leave any tool on the shelf. We need to scale up every carbon-free source available, and we need innovation across the energy sector. Today, we're hearing about exactly that. Many of us share a common goal, and it's going to take all of us coming together to reach it. It's going to take a solution as big as the challenge in front of us. I trust that everyone here will have a role in that solution and in protecting people and the planet in the crucial years ahead. Thank you again for having me here today, and I look forward to any questions you might have.
Maria, thank you for your excellent overview of where the nuclear energy sits and for your emphasis on its importance to clean energy and carbon-free energy. I think that's a message that needs to get out more and that the public doesn't always think about. Of course, that's a really important benefit and a major benefit of nuclear technology. But I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what are some of the economic benefits to local communities that nuclear power brings as an important industry within those communities?
Yeah, actually, the nuclear plants in the communities are really an economic powerhouse. I once was a site vice president and ran a nuclear plant in upstate New York, and I know firsthand how the tax benefits as well as the local employment of that one plant really affected the local community. It feeds the school system. It feeds the local, police and fire departments, and the people that work at the plant also are, leaders in the community, contributing and participating. These are highly skilled jobs at these power plants. So it's a wonderful synergistic effect. You get the clean energy, and you get, if you will, the lifeblood of the community.
Great, thank you. President Biden has stressed an important element of his administration will be made in America. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how how a whole of government approach can be used to help other countries, in particular developing countries who seek energy security through low carbon technologies, to access these new technologies as they're being rolled out here in the United States.
Well, absolutely. I would say, it starts with the wonderful talent that we have at our national labs. And it's an opportunity for, in this whole of government approach, to bring some of this technology quickly to market. And that's happening with this advanced reactor demonstration project that I mentioned. The government approved 2 specific technologies to move forward, and we'll be seeing that play out over the next few years. In addition, it has to do with financing and company or strategies like the Development Finance Corporation that just last year lifted their ban on investing in nuclear. Huge step forward, right? And this allows us to take the technology that's being invented here in the United States and help make it available to some of these developing countries. And as I mentioned, the nuclear of the future coming in all shapes and sizes. Some of the much smaller varieties are really going to help some of these developing countries where they don't really have a need for some of these larger reactors. They don't have maybe an established energy grid like we do here and in some of the developed nations. But nuclear, we're going to have a solution set for them.
Fantastic.